Hello camera 1, hello camera 2.
Hi friends, and welcome back to a brand new episode here on Quear. Boom, I did it. I finally did it, friends. I got my dad on Quear. I mean, it didn't really take that much convincing because he always wants to be in front of the camera, and I kind of think he's coming for my job. In this episode, I put my dad in the hot seat. Just kidding. We chat about his experience of having 3 queer kids. Yes, I said 3. The things he's had to overcome and his journey to acceptance. So if you don't already know, I have 4 siblings and 3 of us are queer AF, baby. Oh, fuck. I love you, Sam. This is an awesome episode because I got to ask my dad some questions that I've never asked him before and just connect on a lot of my siblings coming out journey too. Don't forget, you can listen to the entire story on the Quear podcast. You can find that on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And check out our Patreon page for as little as $3 a month. You can help support the Quear journey. Let's meet my dad. Kyle was the most effeminate one of us growing up. He got bullied severely throughout his whole childhood for being gay and queer. From since Kyle was young, did you know he was gay?
I was always, hey, let him be what he wants to be, you know? Kyle wanted the Barbie, he wanted, you know, he was obviously different child, more creative, more flamboyant and stuff. I never kind of labeled him as gay because he was just being who he was, you know? Yeah. And I think that sometimes that's the challenge with kids is with parents, they start labeling early on where just, hey, just let them be kids.
But I know that you guys got a lot of like other people's opinions about like, ooh, you know, boys shouldn't play with Barbies and boys shouldn't dress in high heels and all this stuff. Like, how did you handle that?
People are always giving you advice about their children because they think they know better than you do. I didn't take it on. The thing is, just give you my quick story, is that my sister was 2 years older than me, and when I was growing up, she was like my hero. I looked up to her. So I didn't want a football, I wanted a Barbie because she had a Barbie. You know, that was my sister, and I wanted to be like my sister. And when you're that age, you don't even take things like that on.
But did you find it hard for your mom to like deal with those sort of situations when you had people telling you things about Kyle? Because I know some of it was grandparents too.
Yeah. I think that's very much old school, and where you know you can change. If you don't let them do that, they won't become. Which to me is kind of pretty negative. Like we always talk about, you got to see where they come from and their story. And their story is, hey, you're not born that way. You can come away from it. To me, it was never a big deal. I mean, I just like kids being kids, right? Yeah. There's a lot of miserable kids there doing stuff out there. If your kid's happy and it's not affecting anybody and you create that healthy environment that whatever happens, they can always come back, they can always relate to you and not push them away. That was my kind of experience from it.
Did you know the extent of Kyle's bullying when he was younger?
No.
He never talked to you about it?
No, he never used to talk about it. I knew he was because there was a spell there when he went through a kind of dark time. You know, I used to borrow the car, go out without us knowing. And
I remember that.
It used to be on internet a lot, late at night. I know now the extent of it, but I never really knew then.
But like, you never heard stories from school of him getting bullied or witnessing anything like that? No?
No. I guess you never really told me too much either, did you? Really? You never came back and say,
I think maybe like also, you know, those words that people use like faggot and bullying stuff. It was just something we didn't talk about as a family either. Like we didn't really talk about LGBTQ or queerness, and like me and Kyle were so, especially like Kyle was so afraid of those words that maybe he never wanted to bring it up. And I don't know.
I guess the good thing about him, he had you and Finn, you know, there for him. But yeah, he must have gone through a lot. You know, and gradually, when you know, the older you get, the more you hear and the more you talk about it. But, you know, it's very hard dealing with children because a lot of children don't like talking about things, you know. And I guess he didn't want to talk to us a lot about it. And sometimes you got to give people's space. You just got, like I said, you just got to make sure you're there for them. You know?
Yeah. Georgia was the first one to come out between the three of us. Georgia's 5 years younger than me. She is 21 now. She came out when she was 15, 16.
Yeah.
What did you have any inkling before she came out that she was queer?
She grew up she grew up more like a boy than you did, because she was always up trees. She broke her arm 3 or 4 times. She wanted to play with bugs. She wanted to play in the mud. She was always one of those. She hated skirts. She hated dresses. You know, she was always tomboyish. But again, I mean,
It's so true.
yeah. But again, I'm like I say, I don't really put labels on people. You know, I think the change started happening. I think she got more and more dissatisfied with who she was, you know, when she started to get these feelings and hiding feelings and stuff. It wasn't too far after that she then came to us and said, I can remember lying in the bed. She had gone to see one of our friends who's a lesbian. The lady said, look, if you're not 100% sure, but obviously Georgia was by that time.
Don't come out.
Don't come out, because it's one of the hardest things to do, especially living in Barbados, right?
I remember her saying that in her story. Go back and watch. When she sat you guys down and told you guys that she was a lesbian, what were some of the feelings or thoughts that went through your mind?
For me, it was just another journey, another part of somebody's journey. The way I look at it is, so many people are out there suffering with anxiety through living a life they don't really enjoy. Work-wise, they hate it. Relationship-wise, they're in a bad relationship. I think you have to be true to yourself. And once somebody's true to themselves, then I'm happy. I've been around people who have criticized, like you or Kyle or Finney, and I look Georgia, and I look at them, I think, wow, you are so good to judge. You've got a miserable life. One of my mantras is hurt people, hurt people.
Absolutely.
You know? And that's people looking for something bad to say, and sometimes they don't even know what they're saying. They don't even really mean it, you know?
Yeah. I think that there's a lot of pain in this world. To emphasize what you're saying, there's a lot of pain in this world. Why add to that by discriminating against someone for the way they want to love? You know?
Yeah. In speaking to you, a lot of people that you've now doing this and out there, a lot of people have come up to you and apologized.
Yeah, there's been a lot of apologies this time in Barbados, just apologizing for the way that they treated us when we were younger.
You see, the thing is, like going back to Kyle, a lot of the bullying came from, it's almost like a herd mentality, you know, got to be in the gang, being tough. They don't really know what they're saying. They don't really know the hurt they cause. And then later on, when they get a bit older, they think, shit, I was such an idiot, right? Yeah. And I think it's great that somebody can come back to you and apologize, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a lot. I mean, apology is always the first step, right? And it's the work that you do after that counts also.
Yeah.
Okay, for me personally, I remember I was the only kind of straight one left.
Yeah, you were the surprise.
Yeah, I was only a straight one left. And I remember getting a lot of calls, just from, this is also Georgia's going through a rough time. And she was not a nice person to be around.
No, I hope you're listening to this, Georgia. Oh, wrong camera. There you go.
You guys used to call me a lot and talk to me about Georgia and about LGBTQ and Kyle and Georgia. And I think this is a phase and stuff like that. So were those actual thoughts that you believed? Or do you think that in those moments, that's what you and Mum were experiencing together?
I think she went through times there where she was experimenting, not sure, wondering how we would take it, wondering how our friends would take it. You know, I mean, it must have been a horrible time for her. It was a horrible time for us, but I know it's probably a horrible time for her.
Did you ever think of those things too? Like, oh, how are people outside gonna judge us and our family, for that?
Obviously, you know, you come from families that are straight, and then suddenly you've got 3 children that are. So you can't flip a switch overnight, right? Yeah. You've got to kind of come to terms with it. And I think it's great having you home, because Mum and I have learned a lot more about your journey, learned a lot more about Kyle and Georgia. Like I said, it's not a switch. It's an ongoing thing. Yeah. It's, you know, just watching what we say, you know, and things that absolutely keep them getting corrected. Mum and I, through your channel, have grown so much because we've come to meet some of the people and hopefully meet a lot more. and their journeys as well.
I have so much empathy for parents and the process that it takes for them to come to terms with having LGBTQ kids, because, you know, we as LGBTQ people take time to come to terms with ourselves. How can we expect other people to just like flip a switch and be okay with it? You know, some people are, and that's amazing, but some parents do take some time, and in the societies that we have all been brought up in has not given the best limelight to LGBTQ people. So there's a lot of unlearning that needs to happen. To speak to some of the maybe like unlearnings that you had to do, what are some of those things?
I think it's being in company where people tell gay jokes or say things. Before Georgia come out, you know, obviously we kind of knew about Kyle, but you don't hear as much the snide comments because you're sometimes part of them. You tell the homosexual joke, you tell the gay joke, you tell the lesbian joke, you tell whatever kind of joke, right? Not because you're bad, just because that's it. You don't feel it's offensive. You don't, you know.
Yeah, you don't have nothing to like understand about.
Yeah, and then you start like Georgia, and then you start listening to people and realize that that was me, and that was me because I was ignorant. Yeah. Just like us all. Like the more you know, the more you don't know, right? So when the door opens, a lot of people don't want to go in because it makes them feel uncomfortable. They don't want to know. Yeah. That you don't equate in their reckoning, so you make them feel uncomfortable, so they don't want to know. That's their journey. I'm on a different journey. I know I don't know anything, so I got to keep growing, right?
Yeah. For me, I used to get those calls from mom and you. I think it was more mom. I'm not sure. I think it was more mom. And just like, you know, talking about Georgia and Kyle and like LGBTQ, and the conversations weren't necessarily the most positive or weren't like speaking highly about LGBTQ. And like that was when I was starting to like go through my whole like learning about myself. I was going through a bit of an identity crisis then, you know? Mm-hmm. And then I started dating that guy, and he was the one who like kind of made me come out to you guys. I wasn't even ready. I don't even know when I would have come out if he didn't make me come out. And I called mom first. Like I initially knew that mom was going to be the hardest one. I don't know if I worried about you. I just didn't think that you would care. Like you wouldn't give as much of a hard time. Conversation I had with mom was really not the best. She says, do you want me to tell your dad? I said, yes, tell dad. And then you called me one day. This is before I was going away on that big trip to the Philippines. And you were like, well, why didn't you tell me? When mom first told you, what went through your mind?
I guess shock.
Yeah.
You know, and having 2 kids already and looking at you as all being the kind of straight one, and then you coming out, so it was shock. I mean, when Georgia came out, I don't know, it was easier for a girl than a boy.
To accept?
To accept, and also, yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I just think society. I just think women are portrayed as this kind of softer, easier. They have relationships, you know, like guys don't go to the toilet together, women do. That, you know, I mean, there's different social things that women do that men don't. So they have a lot closer relationship. Yeah. So it was easier with George. With Kyle, we kind of knew, but then with you, it was like, wow, that took time to do it. But like I said, it was never, my God, that's terrible kind of thing. It was just took a bit to
adjust,
that's all, yeah.
What were some of the things that you had to like adjust in yourself, or like what were some of the feelings that you experienced?
You see, when you're a parent, it's not about you, it's about your children. What I thought about was what you had to go through. You didn't choose the easy one of hiding it, like some people do. Some people are married, they say happily, and they're you know, leading separate lives with men, with women, with whatever. The hardest thing is the comprehension of you going that route, because it's never easy. And it's not going to get easier overnight. It's getting easier, but I think it's easier for you guys being up in Canada
Oh, absolutely.
than
And,
living
that's a
down here.
privilege,
Yeah,
definitely.
of course.
Was there any conversations that you and mom had together that like you had to work through?
Not really. I think just we talked a lot about it and the challenges, and
Like, what were some of the things that you talked about?
it's trying to relate to the journey you're going through, the three of you. You know,
Yeah.
it was more a feeling for us, and feeling sometimes we just want to get on a plane and get up and hug you, and that was the hardest thing for us, because sometimes Kyle would be upset, you'd be upset, George would be upset, and all we want to do is, and we'd both be crying because you're our kids, and all we want to do is jump on a plane, you know? But the good thing about it is all four of you have each other, which is great. Your journey's made easier by that, but there's so many out there that you're privileged compared to so many that are on their own and can't come out and can't be seen to do this, and you know, have to hide behind this facade.
I remember having some difficult moments. I remember not feeling like I wanted to talk to you guys for a while. I felt a little bit of like shame.
Did you ever feel anything like you let us down? Did you ever figure something like that? You talked about shame?
Absolutely. When I first called and talked to mom, and like I instantly started crying, and she said some things like, "Oh, you were my last hope." Grandkids, like typical things that like parents say when they're having those moments. But I felt a lot of weight on me because I was the last kid. I dated a lot of girls, and there was so much like outward nervousness of like how everybody else was gonna receive me, even y'all's friends or all the people that I used to like hang out with here in Barbados. So there was a lot of like that sort of internal struggle. And then I remember having a couple of conversations that like, it's gonna take some time for us to get used to. And I remember feeling like angry in those moments because I was just like, we are going through so much right now, the three of us, you know, like we're learning about ourselves, we're navigating life in a way more difficult expression. And the two people that we idolize the most and we love the most in our lives need to just learn how to like accept it completely 100% and get over it, because we need you right now more than anything. And the only love that we need in the world is from you guys. And I think maybe because the acceptance of me was just a little bit harder for both of you, I felt like a lot of like dialogue or conversation between us like shifted. Like the things that we talked about, no one ever asking really about like the relationship that I was going through, and that was when I was in that really bad relationship, you know?
You were going through a lot, and I think a lot of it was you more than us. You know what I mean? You were kind of almost like putting up some barriers, not communicating, because you were going through this turmoil. That's what happens.
I mean,
right?
I think it works. I think I'll take ownership for a bit of it, but I think definitely it comes from both ends, you know?
Oh, of course.
I understand that I was that was a moment for us. It felt like it was really distant, you know, and hard. I remember it being hard for me.
Well, I think again, I mean, it was like when you were going through all this, like I was saying, we just wanted to jump on a plane and come up. Because, I mean, talking's one thing on the phone, talking Skype, talking WhatsApp, but Mum and I and you grew up very touchy-feely, huggy, you know, that kind of environment, family thing. So you can't get that over a phone, you know. A lot of times we missed your journey, and we missed weren't there for your down times, and you know, for your up times as well, when you felt good, when you come through stuff, you know.
What were some of the major things that you had to like overcome on that journey? Because it's been like what, 6 years now?
I don't know. You always wonder how people accept, and we've got a big circle of friends, and all our friends are great, you know.
Yeah.
You've got other friends who've got gay children. It's been difficult.
Yeah.
Because knowing, you know, you talk about children, so how they doing? How's Finney's love life? Or, you know, because people always, so who's he dating now? And
what girl?
What girl is, you know, is he steady? And when somebody asks you that question, it still doesn't just roll off my tongue. Or you know, Cal's got a really nice boyfriend just now. It doesn't.
Why?
Well, actually, I've never been asked how Kyle's going. But I'm just saying, if that came up, that was at a party and doesn't know that Kyle's gay and said to me, so he's in a relationship just now? Yeah, a really nice guy.
Would you say that?
I would like to think I would, but I've never been in that situation yet. Do you understand? But what I'm saying, it doesn't come, I'm saying I'm on the journey. I'm on the journey. I'm on the journey. So
no, for sure.
I know. Oh yeah. And that's my inhibitions. That's my feelings, you know? But I'm growing all the time. I think I've grown a lot, and Mum and I have grown a lot through you exposing us to, we've been here on your journey, which is a real blessing.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you feel like you're getting to a place of like comfort with us all being queer?
Well, I'm comfortable, but I'm just putting out there's certain situations where you would hesitate.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, I think you coming back in Barbados this time is the most out you've been because you're doing this. But I know before you wouldn't be so openly.
Yeah, for
right?
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
you're in the same journey as I am.
No, I definitely agree with you. I am not. I'm just asking like comfort wise, you know, like there's been a couple of situations where you guys have gone into a room and people have been shh, 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 shh. That's Kiri and Dave, they have queer kids or whatever, and they're talking about gayness, like LGBTQ, you know.
Yeah, he was like I say, that's out of ignorance more than anything else, right?
Yeah.
I mean, some people have never been exposed to it, so that's their story. They're very, very uncomfortable. They think, you know, my daughter shouldn't be around a lesbian because she wants that girl, and it's misconceptions, you know. It's that, and you know, step by step, society is eating away, and there's more exposure, there's more knowledge, there's more people coming out.
If you're willing to do the work, though, there's so much out there. There's so much education. There's so much that you can learn from. But if you're willing to do the work.
Yeah, but a lot of people are scared of education, right? The hardest thing about life, not just about what we're talking about, but everything, by, you know, Black Lives Matter, by, you know, rich and poor, segregation. What it is people stop learning because they've found their comfort zone. And once you stop learning, then, to me, become ignorant.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of ignorant people, not, well, because of their own fault, because of circumstances, they surround themselves. Like, if you want a better life and life's not happening now, you've got to change. Yeah. First thing you got to do is change yourself. And you do that by educating yourself, which a lot of people don't want to do. And they change your circle of friends. If you're going nowhere in life, maybe you need to put some new mentors in your life, right?
Absolutely.
And be open to education. And that's the problem with it. The world right now is there's not enough shepherds, there's too many sheep. Just follow people.
How did you feel the first time you saw me with a guy?
That was in Canada.
That was
really I liked him, Reed.
But like, what was like when you know how you first saw me with like a guy? Because like you've seen me dating girls my whole life.
It was not a big deal. I think the big deal would have come if you were openly kissing in front of me, because that's another step up there. Do you know what I mean? Is that okay to say?
Yeah.
Right.
I was just now thinking,
and that
like,
weekend,
I have to openly kiss someone in front of you.
Wow, yeah. Well.
Having 3 LGBTQ kids, how has your perspective of the LGBTQ plus community changed?
I just think these guys are so strong, because it takes so much power and commitment to do that journey. Just so strong, so powerful to say, this is who I am, I'm going to stand up. There's so many people that whisper, this is who I am, and keep sitting down.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that this is the journey for Barbados to change, because a lot more people need to stand up and be counted. And there's people not willing to do that, you know?
Yeah.
Stand up for what you believe.
Do you feel like you have a lot more like compassion and empathy maybe towards someone from the LGBTQ community?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. Because it's a hard journey. I really am impressed with people that stand up for what they believe. Like I always say, the power of one. All it takes is one person to stand up for change to happen. Hopefully people will be watching this and they'll say, wow, I didn't realize. Yeah, I was one of these people that used to tease. You're lucky Papa P doesn't know who the ones that tease, because Papa P would come after you.
I love it. Now, from a parent's perspective, what is one thing you would like to say to any parents watching?
All I can say for you is having a child is a gift. You're going to get more out of your children than your children get out of you. They're going to educate you. They're going to take you back to when you were a child. They're going to take you through all the seasons. The anger, the love, that's what they're going to do, but they're going to enhance your life so much. So all I can tell you as a parent is be there on their journey. No matter what they choose, you've got to have unconditional love. And no matter what happens, you've got to be there for them. And sometimes, like us all, there's the road you're on, but sometimes you get pulled aside. But as long as you're on the road, when they come back on and keep them going, you know, just count your blessings. Children are a blessing. But as long as they know that you as a parent hold the key. And the key is that love. And that's unconditional.
Love it. Before we go on to the last question, I just want to say thank you for continuing to always learn and grow and not get defensive about the journey and always accepting me and loving me for who I am and who I choose to love and supporting me on my dreams of just being able to come back home and do something like this. So I'm grateful for you. I appreciate you.
Just pass it on to your children, right?
I will.
Pass on the love.
I will. Okay, so is there one last thing you want to say to anybody who's watching?
I just want to say it's like everything else. Whatever you're going through, there's always help. Never come to the end of the road or go to a brick wall. There's always help. Raven talked a lot about stuff, right?
Yeah.
Finley's here. I'm here. There's always people you can reach out and talk to. Never come to the end of your road. Always, always, always reach out. Find somebody. And there's always somebody that's willing to lift you up.
Absolutely.
Right? And help you. Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that the last question?
That was the last question.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for coming on my channel, Dad.
Okay. So, one last question from me. Finley is on a journey. His dream is to go global with Quear. And I want all of you out there to give his support. I want you to support his channel. I want you to support his journey. I want everybody to subscribe, like, and forward. Because there's so many people out there in homes, in hostels, on the streets that need to hear what this is all about, the journey. Finley's privileged because he's got loving parents,
Absolutely.
Right? But a lot of people don't have that support. So we as global ambassadors, we've got to put that support in. So keep following and applauding Finley's journey. And Papa P will always love you.
Thank you. Okay, well, thank you so much, Dad. Oh, thank you, Dad. I really appreciate you and all that you are. It's been so beautiful to watch my dad grow and learn and even change his vocabulary, you know? There's so much that has been ingrained in our parents from the way that they grew up. So it's really beautiful to see the change. As we all do, we all need to continue to learn. My dad has not stopped trying. So for that, I'm proud of you. I love you so much, and I am grateful for you. Catch you next week for a brand new episode. Ciao for now.